Hello everybody, welcome to the Sovereign Village Project. I would hope at this point in all of the drama of 2020 that I do not need to convince you we're in the midst of a globalist totalitarian takeover. It's clearly evidenced and one does not need to look to conspiracy or speculation to see it. Simply look at what rights you have now versus what you used to have. In many areas of the country, the First Amendment has completely been erased. It doesn't exist anymore. In nearby Nashville, Tennessee, I've been at protests where the police were sent to break up peaceful political protests. They banned gatherings of 8+ for any reasons. And the First Amendment clearly lays out that you cannot break up peaceable assembly for religious or political purposes. On top of that, they've added a rule of 8 where if you have more than 8 people in your home, it's illegal, which is clearly discriminatory against large families, which are generally from immigrant groups and things like that. So it's a racist, discriminatory practice. On top of that, we know that due process is gone. It's been gone since the Patriot Act, and it's really gone now because we have actual concentration camps on American soil. They're literally penal institutions by the government's own admission, and people are locked up. They're grabbed off of the streets and thrown into them. They're mainly doing it with the homeless and low-income people right now so that you won't say anything, but they'll get to you, don't worry. They're held indefinitely without due process over provably faulty COVID tests, which is irrelevant because even if the tests were accurate, you don't get to throw people in penal institutions without due process. Of course, we know the Second Amendment has also been under attack for a long time, but we don't need to discuss that, you know that. So let's just, for the purpose of this video, go ahead and accept the fact that this is a tyrannical takeover. This is it. This is tyranny. This is dystopia. We're at the beginning of it. If you don't believe that by now, then you can just go ahead and turn off this video. You're not going to believe it at any point. You'll believe it, but you won't believe it until you're on the boxcar headed to the camp, metaphorically or literally. But if you see it instinctively or factually, or if I've just convinced you and you didn't see it before, then let's go ahead and talk about solutions. How do we resist? How do we fight against this? Of course, we all make those comments and we all want to grab our tools and head to the capitals and mayor's mansions and things like that and start bringing justice to the criminals. But it's not happening. And it doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. I attend protests all the time, and people aren't even willing to show up. I go to protests in a city I don't even live in, but the city's residents don't show up. I went into the Capitol, or the City Hall, excuse me, in Nashville, and it was I and several other people that filed the recall petition to get rid of the mayor, who's a tyrant and acting unconstitutional. And most of us were not even from the city. So the people in the city who are being impacted by his tyranny, who are facing a 34% increase in their taxes, and who are being locked in their homes and having their businesses shut down violently and by coercion, they're not fighting back peaceably. They're not even willing to go to a protest or hardly go out and vote for it. So it seems clear that we're not going to have the numbers to resist this the way it needs to be resisted. So in lieu of that, or in the meantime, until people are ready to do that, what do we do? How do we actually feasibly resist? So I'll list kind of what I've been doing and what I think is the future of resistance here. The first is political involvement. As an anarchist, it feels a little weird to talk about that because I don't believe in government. I think I know, and I'll make a video about this, I would argue that all government is a criminal organization. It's a bunch of people who decided a long time ago that they had the right to your money and your labor, that you are their slave and their subject, and that they could hide it under the guise of democratic process. All government is criminal, but it's a reality. It's here, and it's probably never going to go away. I'm not a utopian anarchist that believes we're going to have some voluntarist society someday. It's not going to happen. People are gullible. They're always going to fall for government, it seems. But in the meantime, at least, it's a reality that has to be dealt with. Just like any criminal organization, if 100 Hells Angels bikers showed up at my door and they said, give us $1,000 or we're going to burn your house down, and I looked out and they all had guns, and I looked down at my one gun, I'd probably comply. I'd probably negotiate with them and just say, I'm not ready to fight these people. There's just too many. They're too powerful. And then I would go and I'd start making preparations for when they came back, so next time I could fight back. But that's just to show the idea that it's a reality. Government is a reality that's here, and we have to deal with it every day. You can't go anywhere without driving on their roads that they have created a violent monopoly over. You can't hardly transact without using the money which they violently enforce their monopoly on. It's here, and it's here to stay. Now, we could try to reduce it and try to get rid of it someday, but it's here. So, in the meantime, while it's here, start using your voice in a peaceable manner to start affecting change where you're at. In my experience, if you're in a rural area or a small town or even a medium to large city, you can have a tremendous impact by simply getting involved and simply talking to politicians, by actually going to their offices, by messaging them and asking them to meet, by mailing, especially physical mail as opposed to email, but email is still something. by attending council meetings and things like that, your voice is amplified by 1,000 times more than any other citizen simply by being barely involved. Here in this county where I'm at, people do not attend the council meetings. The county council meetings, if I go there, I'm generally the only person. And I'm currently working with some libertarians in the area to attend regularly. So weekly we'll just have 2 or 3 people show up, and we'll be drastically overrepresented because we will be showing that we are vocal, we're active, we're involved, and we're actually showing up, and we can talk to them and get to know them. It's important to remember, even though I'm an anarchist, I have friends in government, I have family in government, and many of them are not bad people any more than anybody else is. Yes, they're corrupt and they work for a criminal organization, but it's a reality, and many of them go in idealistically wanting to affect positive change. Humans aren't so cut and dry. There's no such thing as a perfect bad guy or a perfect good guy. Everybody has good and bad in them, including politicians. And many of them still think they're doing good and are still trying to do good, even if they're engaged in corruption, which anybody in government is engaged in corruption because they're taking your money by force. But when you talk to them, they are human beings, and they will change their mind, and they will listen to you a lot of the time. And I've affected tremendous change in my life by simply talking. When I was a child, we had a liquid natural gas company come through, try to put a pipeline in my rural area, which I had no problem with, except they were using eminent domain to steal people's property to lay out their pipeline. So they were using the federal government to take people's land. And I think I was 10 or 11 years old, but I joined the coalition of farmers and ranchers and environmentalists and hippies that had all formed to oppose this. And we went off to the Capitol. And I went there as a child. I didn't even have my parents with me. And I talked to these state representatives. I looked them in the eye and I talked to them. And we stopped it. This was a multi-billion-dollar company, international corporation, leveraging the full power of the federal government. They were going through with this, and they spent millions on this project. And a real grassroots organization stopped them simply by talking to people. We just went and talked to our politicians. We had a few small rallies, and we stopped it. This stuff makes a difference. Rallies make a difference. Talking to people makes a difference. Attending protests make a difference. So getting involved in the political process, even if you don't believe in government, is very, very, very effective. And if you're not willing to do that, it's really silly to say that you're going to take part in some kind of revolution or something, because you're not. If you're not willing to do a small sacrifice of taking a day off work and go talk to somebody, you're definitely not going to risk life and limb your home and everything else and chance of imprisonment and death over something, because it's never been easier to resist. We still actually have some semblance of free speech. You can still gather to express political opinion in some areas. It's the concentration camps are not yet being used much for political dissidents. They're mainly just doing it to the low income and homeless people and racial minorities. They'll get to us, and it's going to get harder. And that may be the time when we have to pick up our tools and, do what needs to be done. But for now, there's an easier way to do things. So show that you're willing to resist by actually getting involved in these simple, innocuous ways. Secondly, once you've done that, or simultaneously, it's time to start getting self-sufficient, because this will be and already is a war of attrition. Just like they make you wear your compliance device by leveraging your ability to get food and to shop and to get employment and to move about, they withhold those rights and make you do what they want. And it's a test, and they're going to do it with everything. They're going to do that with the injection, and they're going to do that with anything they want. If they want to stick a chip in you, they'll do it. If they want to do anything, they'll make you do it, because you'll need the job. You'll need access to banking and access to currency, access to food. You need those things, and war is always rooted in attrition. They always cut off food supplies. It's the siege. You surround the castle, and you don't have to fight the people in the castle. You just surround it, and you don't let any food in or out. This is no different. So if you're not ready to produce all of your own food, and if you're not working towards producing your own health care and building communities of people that provide different services and take care of each other, then you're not ready to resist what's coming, because this isn't like a short thing where we're just going to go, again, grab our tools, go into some buildings, bring some people out and administer justice. It's not going to be like that. This is going to be all of our lives. This is the way life is now. We're going to be in a constant battle and a fight for resistance against this agenda of complete control. It's not a short haul thing. So your self-sufficiency is resistance. This property for me is resistance. My ability to produce my own food, to feed myself and my family and the people I care about, and to supply all of my other needs, that's how I'm resisting. And it's a peaceful, beautiful way to resist, because I think in the end, the resistance isn't going to succeed through violence. It's going to succeed through love and through independence and through hard work. And for those of us who just walk away from the system and say, we're not taking part no matter what. I've had to really think about when I'm going to stop being a pacifist, because I am a pacifistic person by nature. And for me, I know certainly I'll stop when they come onto my land. That's when I will resist by any means necessary. And so I'm preparing my property for that as well. And you know, that day may come because I don't pay taxes and I don't fund a genocidal government with my money. I think that's morally reprehensible. So that time may come someday, but in the meantime, I can resist in peace, and I love that. I don't want to hurt anybody. I like people. I'm a Christian. I'm a person that loves people, and I don't hate anybody. I don't even hate the enemies. I don't hate Klaus Schwab or whatever his name is. I don't hate Bill Gates. They're wrong, and if they're wrong and they need to be removed, but I don't hate them. They're just misguided people. I don't hate anybody. And so if I can resist peacefully, why wouldn't I? So self-sufficiency and political involvement are two things you can start getting involved in right now. It's time to start getting ready. It's time to build community. It's time to resist the agenda. It's here. Further steps you can take are getting your tools ready. Get the things you need in case it does come to violent confrontation, because it seems to be on track for that. They are already killing dissidents. Just look up Duncan Lemp and see what happened to him. If anybody resists the agenda too strongly and have too strong a voice, right now they're kind of just silencing them, but it'll come to violence. Those camps aren't just for the homeless. They're going to put you in it. They're going to put all of the dissidents in camps. It's an agenda that's played out over and over and over again in humanity. Totalitarian takeovers are as old as time. People like power. Narcissists are bad people that like to take power over you and take your money and your health, and they like to make you suffer. And we're just in an old cycle that's played out again and again, ever since Cain decided to inflict his will on his brother with a rock. We've been in the same cycle, and it'll probably continue. So I hope this gives you kind of a starting point and kind of wakes you up to the fact that this is on you. You have a tremendous impact. Don't think you don't. This is not just rhetoric. I'm not doing a fluff video saying, yeah, you can change the world, because you frickin' can. Get out there, change the world. Talk to people, meet with like-minded people, look at people who are saying things similar on social media and go talk to them. Meet them for coffee. Just brainstorm. Leave your phone in the car because it's listening. It's easy and it's fun. I've loved every second of this. I haven't been sad about anything. Yes, it's depressing and scary to see where we're going, but everything's been positive for me. I've gotten healthier. I've stopped eating store-bought food for the most part. I'm growing food. I'm meeting neighbors. I've never met more wonderful people. Now, like, I know every neighbor around me, and I've got them growing food too. I'm really building a real community around me, and it's changing my life for the better, and it's changing the lives of people around me for the better. So even if we fail in everything and the bad guys win, my life, for as long as I live it, will be better because of the way I'm resisting. So go plant a tomato. Go call your local councilman, call your state representative. They're probably lonely. Nobody ever talks to state representatives or state senators. Give them a call. Talk to the one in your area. You don't have to agree with them. I've talked to very, very left-wing politicians before, and they were very respectful and listened to what I had to say and engaged in meaningful dialogue with me. So remember, people are people. Politicians are people too. Talk to them. Get self-sufficient. Get your tools ready, get your property ready, get your body ready, get healthy, get your family ready, get your spirit ready. Read the Bible. Revelation's a pretty useful one. Even if you're not a Christian and you don't believe in the literal interpretation, you can at least see the metaphorical interpretation of it, where there's a cycle of tyranny that plays out, and it really is talking about that. But I would encourage you to think about the literal truth in that too. But get ready, start fighting. Start fighting today. Mail somebody today, tonight. Do it tomorrow. Mail one politician every day. It's easy. It'll take you 3 minutes. How much time is that? Plant one seed. Before you eat every morning, go plant something. Why would you eat if you haven't planted food yet? Stick a barrel under your gutter and catch some rainwater. Just get self-sufficient. It's fun and it's effective. And we can resist and we can stop this agenda in a lot of parts of this country. So good luck, everybody. Stay safe. Be well. Happy homesteading. Happy resistance.